Selene, great to see you. Thank you for being in the court today. This is the second big win in a row for Artur Pawlowski.
That's right, it is. Yeah, no, it was really exciting today to actually be there and to be able to live tweet, to be able to be there representing Rebel as well.
Well, I'm very glad you were there. We have covered the case of Artur Pawlowski really since it started in the spring of 2020. They have come after him so many times. I was talking to his lawyer, Sarah Miller, the other day. I think this is like the 16th or 17th court hearing she's done for him. That simply would be impossible for anyone who didn't have the resources of a crowdfunding campaign behind them. Like literally, you would have to be a multimillionaire or you would be crushed under the power of the government. Tell me, how many government people were there at the trial? How many lawyers and police and witnesses? I bet they spent $500,000 trying to get him today.
You know, that's really interesting, actually. There was only, I believe it was just 3 witnesses. It was one police officer. He was the one that came after the couple of people at Shoppers Drug Mart, the employees, had called 911. He was there to answer that call and to go and talk to Artur himself. And then there was one of the managers and then the woman at the counter that refused to actually provide him his mail, even though he had a medical exemption for his mask. So, but again, what's really interesting is that originally this case was founded on him for a mask violation, for being contrary to the bylaw at the time, and that was actually dropped. And it also came out from the store owner when asked further about the different signs that they would have had posted and whatnot, that they're actually pretty lenient at the time, and that going forward, that wouldn't stand with his case. So that was that case was dropped pretty quick. Pretty quick, like in the beginning of the court proceedings this morning. And then they started talking about how, you know, you can't film in there and, you know, there's signs everywhere. And then it was actually just down at the very big. Jeez. Sorry about that. Someone just came up to us. But yeah, then it just so happened that people, sorry, that totally just kind of threw me off.
No, keep going. So you're saying that there was a sign or something?
Yeah, you're not supposed to record. That's one of their store policies, but it just ended up coming out again by the store owner that there was just a tiny little sticker in the window that, you know, it just was the camera with like the red circle with the cross through it, like no filming. So then he tried to say that he was banned. And at the very end, what this case was like founded on is and what the Crown was grasping for, the straws at the end, was just trying to present any evidence regarding any evidence that had to do with the person at the front desk. And her feelings and how she was, you know, personally offended by Artur because he had looked at her intimidatingly. It was very strange because by the end of it, we were all very, very confused about what was going on and just what exactly this court case was founded on to start with.
Yeah, you know, I used to be a practicing lawyer. I haven't done law in 15 years, I'm glad to say. But I know, and I don't think you have to be a lawyer to know, that prosecutors only bring cases where, number one, it's in the public interest to do so, and number two, where they have a reasonable likelihood of conviction. So they don't bring trivial cases. They don't bring weak cases. First of all, it's not fair. And second of all, there's so much real work to do. To go after a marginal case is just a waste of time, and it's not, again, in the public interest. This sounds, again, like an anti-Artur Pawlowski vendetta. It sounds like they just threw everything at the wall. Oh, you're not wearing a mask. Well, he had an exemption. I was following along. Did he swear? No. And I know he does. I've never heard Artur Pawlowski say a swear in the entire time I've ever known him. Like there was really, so, I mean, really what it came down to is they didn't like him. They were being mean to him, but he had a lawful medical exemption. So they were just trying everything. Oh, you recorded. Yeah, because you're treating me in a bullying way. Yeah. I'm deeply embarrassed for the prosecutors and the police who put forward this case, and good for the judge. So tell me a little bit about the judge. Do you remember the judge's name? Was it a man or a woman? Was it old or young? Did the judge have something to say? Did the judge issue the ruling quickly? Was the judge exasperated it sounds like the case sort of evaporated before your very eyes. I didn't have a chance to
Yes.
read all your live tweets, so and I'm sure most of our viewers didn't either. So what was it actually like in the courtroom? What was the judge like? Could you tell by their face what they were thinking?
Oh yeah, exasperated is a really good way to put it. Actually, unfortunately, I didn't catch the gentleman's name, but he was elder, and he really did his due diligence. He analyzed all of the different evidence that was brought up from both sides. But it's just like you said, it immediately started to be torn apart. The narrative that the Crown was trying to put together and aim at Artur Pawlowski. Very, very quickly that started to evaporate as soon as he started to ask questions to the Crown. And, you know, I've watched a couple of these court proceedings. I've never actually seen a judge dismiss witnesses from the Crown so many times to actually question the Crown prosecutor and just kind of be like, you know, why are you asking these questions? Like, what are you doing? Like, what is your intention? There were quite a few times where he literally asked him, he was like, is this relevant at all? Why would you ask this question? And it was very interesting because with Artur Pawlowski, he has a lot of followers. The side of the courtroom that he was in was totally full of his supporters. And, you know, they were quiet. They sat there. And I mean, by the end of it, there was a couple of chuckles, and even the judge didn't mind because he just seemed so confused about what was going on. Because again, they were just grasping for straws to try and persecute Pastor Artur Pawlowski.
And tell me a little bit about the prosecutor. Was it just one prosecutor? Were there several of them? Did he seem like he had he knew the Artur Pawlowski file well, or was he just thrown into it? Sounds like he had a bunch of goofy questions that the judge didn't have time for.
Yeah. No, he definitely did, and I do not think that he was able to tackle the saga that is Artur Pawlowski. There's no way. There was a couple of pieces of evidence that he tried to actually bring forward, and I wasn't aware of this. I'm still new to covering these court cases, but I learned so much each and every time that I'm there. The evidence that is initially given to the Crown to be able to look after, so that, you know, both sides can be able to present them in front of the judge. All of that was already pre-established, and he was here trying to grasp at straws again, trying to show new things. And Sarah Miller stood up and was like, this has nothing to do with anything. And by the end of it, when she called for a verdict and the judge was ready to give an answer, he asked her to go up and give her ending statement. And then he politely asked her to sit down and was like, he basically said, you don't need to. He's like everything's good. And then he was like, it's all dismissed. He's like, you're 100%, well, I'm paraphrasing, obviously he didn't say that, but it was ruled that he was not guilty, and that was it. Everyone stood up, it was court adjourned, and that was it. I don't think the Crown could have done anything. They were not prepared for this.
How long was the whole hearing?
Well, court was supposed to start at 9 a.m., but I believe that we started around 10:30. And we were in there for probably an hour and a half. And then once the verdict was ruled out, there was a 10-minute break. And then we came back, and that's when he said that all the charges were dropped and that Artur Pawlowski was found not guilty.
What you just saw was an excerpt from my nightly show, the Ezra Levant Show. Every weekday, I do a monologue. Usually it's about half an hour. Then I interview an interesting guest, and then we read my hate mail or my fan mail, whichever is more fun. It's only available behind a paywall, though. That's how we pay our bills here at Rebel News. We don't take a dime from Justin Trudeau. But the good news is it's only $8 a month, about half the price of Netflix. And in addition to my nightly show, you also get weekly shows from 4 other friends here at Rebel News. So you're getting 36 shows a month just for $8. I think it's worth it. And even if you're not quite sure, do it anyways, because we rely on viewers like you to keep us free and independent. I promise you I'll never take a dime from Trudeau. Just go to rebelnewsplus.com and click subscribe. Thanks.